Celtics, Bucks. Giannis Antetokounmpo chases down Jason Tatum. Look at that block.
Chase down block.
Giannis just keeps coming at you.
That's why he's the MVP in my book, at least right now.
Yeah, he had one earlier in the game on Terry Rozier, too. Really impressive what he's doing, not only on offense, but on the defensive end.
All over the place. Kings, Warriors, Kevin
KD,
Durant.
though.
We're showing some defense.
That's one up in Giannis. I like that one better than Giannis's.
Big old block on Buddy Hield. He had 7 blocks last night.
KD had 7?
KD did.
Wow.
Yeah, Blazers, Nets.
Ooh.
Yeah, I saw this one up close, and I didn't like the way it ended. Yusuf Nurkic, though.
Yeah.
Thunderous. Nice job over D'Angelo Russell.
That is nice.
Joe Harris.
Don't jump, Jared Allen. Don't jump.
You
had
know,
to
Jared
jump.
is...
Don't
He
jump.
always
Don't
jumps.
do it.
He always
Yeah,
jumps.
he's a
He said,
great
I'm going to be
shot
on the
blocker.
highlight either way. That's what I appreciate about him. Lakers, Rockets, playoff LeBron. Yep, he's been activated. It shows. Chris, that's what you were talking
There it
about.
is. That's it right there.
Jaw dropping. That looked good.
the way
Clint
he
Capella knows
finished
he's
it.
got no chance right now.
I mean, that came out of nowhere.
But you added about it being a big win against Houston, the fact that it was Capella's first game back, too.
Yep.
Back to Zion Williamson. He is listed as day-to-day with a grade 1 knee sprain after his injury scare on Wednesday night. And while Coach K is optimistic the freshman phenom will return to the floor soon, former Kentucky star DeMarcus Cousins has some advice for Zion. Take a listen.
But knowing what I know now, college is bull. College basketball, NCAA is bull. So my advice to him is do what's best for you and your family. And obviously college isn't. It can't really, it does nothing for you at this point. You've proven you're, the #1 pick coming out. You've proven your talent. Get ready for the next level, because it's happening. That's my opinion, knowing what I know now.
Canty, what do you think? Should Zion shut it down for the rest of the year?
Well, first, I hear Boogie Cousins' comments, and I guess we all know that collegiate athletics is an exploitative system. The amateurism model by the NCAA is broken. I think everybody understands that. If you don't believe that, that's naive. That's just being naive, because these athletes are generating hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars for the NCAA. But that aside, in looking at Zion's decision to go to Duke, you have to weigh the risk reward in terms of him coming back. If he's 100% healthy, then I think he absolutely should come back and play this season under Coach K, because the coaching that he's getting potentially could be better than the coaching that he's getting for whatever team takes him in the lottery. So I look at this situation and say there is something to be gained for Zion by coming back, because getting the tutelage of Coach K is going to be one of those things that could help him transition smoothly to the next level, because the jump from college to pro is always bigger than the jump from high school to college. And so I look at, because it's basketball and the nature of the game of basketball, it's not necessarily the risk of injury that you would see in other sports like football or like in hockey. So I think that if the opportunity is there, if he's healthy before the end of the season, then he should absolutely come back and play.
I texted with some NBA guys about this, not players, but like coaches, executives, scouts yesterday. 2 told me that Zion needs to be very careful. And don't come back until he's, like you said, 100%, okay? And if that means missing, I think they have 5 regular season games left. If that means missing all 5 of those, whatever it takes, just make sure you're healthy, however many games you have to miss. 1 told me he would love to see Zion fight through this and show that competitiveness that you really want to see and play. Another told me he shouldn't sit out because ballers ball, all right? But all of them, when I said, okay, if he decides to sit out, will that affect his draft stock? And they said absolutely not. He's still the #1 choice going away. It's not even close. My feeling is that he should get a second opinion. Not that the Duke doctors aren't great or whatever, but get a second opinion. And until you don't come back until you feel as good as you did 3 or 4 days ago. And until you can move as well and be as explosive. If doctors are like, look, you can play, your explosiveness won't be there initially. You won't move like you used to. It'll be a little sore, but eventually it'll come through. I'm like, no. Sit down. Wait till you are absolutely ready to start playing in games. And I'm with you. If he's 100%, if I were his parent and I was advising him, I would first see if he really wants to play. I assume he does. If he's like, I really do want to play, I'm like, look, once you're totally 100% and the Zion of last week, then okay, you can get out there. But I'll say this. If he were to come out, he and his family tonight, and they say, look, Zion's dream ever since he was a young boy was to play in the NBA. And after what happened the other day, we saw how vulnerable he could be as a collegiate athlete. So we're going to sit it out and start preparing for the NBA draft. I would have absolutely no problem with that because I understand it's a business decision, and that's the ultimate dream is to get to the NBA.
Well, and I also think, and we all know this, having played different sports, you may tweak your knee and it's getting back healthy, but your gait is different. So then all of a sudden you do something to your hamstring or your hip or, you know, everything is all connected in a way of which maybe his knee is almost healthy, but all of a sudden something else happens.
You overcompensate.
Couldn't agree more about him being entirely healthy, it being entirely his decision. I don't think there should weigh at all about his competitiveness or want to win by any NBA sky. I don't think that factors in. Do you think in any way, having played college sports, having played pro sport, does he owe anything to his teammates? Like, not thinking about the NCAA, not thinking about anything else. But do you think there's something to be said for those other guys that he's been going through the season with?
It's important to consider the relationship that he has with the teammates and then the goals that they set for themselves as a team coming into this season. But I think his teammates understand the situation that he's in. And so if he's going to make that decision to sit out, as long as he tells those guys first, then I wouldn't have a problem with him making that decision public if he decides that he wants to come back and play, whether it's the ACC tournament or the NCAA tournament. Whatever decision that he makes, I'm fine with. I just want him to have 100% conviction on it. And then, of course, if he does decide to come back and play, it's up to Coach K and the medical staff to also make sure that he's 100%. Because you could be in situations sometimes as a coach or the medical staff where you have to protect the player from himself.
Right.
And so that's the one thing that you do want to be concerned with. And, of course, the way that Zion plays, he's very aggressive. I mean, you have to make sure that he's 100% ready to go because so much of his game right now is predicated on his athleticism. But as far as how the game played out the other night, I mean, you see the value of this kid to that Duke basketball team because, I mean, even though you had the other two freshman phenoms, Cam Reddish and R.J. Barrett combined for 60 points, I mean, that game wasn't competitive. I mean, the game was essentially over when Zion got hurt, and they missed his presence more so on the defensive end than they did on the offensive end. And I was surprised that Coach K didn't even have any answers in terms of how to try to make some plays and get the momentum to come back in their favor, whether it was schemes or whatnot. But in terms of the value that he brings to a basketball team, I mean, Zion is a two-way player. He can affect the game with the ball in his hands or with the ball without having the ball. And so I think that's probably the most impressive thing for me at such a young age, realizing that there are so many other facets where he can have an impact on his team winning.
I might even call him a three-way player. Like you said, he does it offensively, defensively, but he also has the intangibles. He's clearly got all the tangibles, but he has those intangibles of that hustle, playing with energy, you know, that is infectious with your team. So I think I'm going to give them a pass on the game the other night because I think the mental and emotional strain and distress that you go through when you see your best player, and they didn't know at that point how serious it was or not. We saw it with the Boston Celtics last year. Remember, Gordon Hayward goes down in the first game. They lose that one. They lose the next one, and then they run off 16 straight victories. So it takes some time to adjust. Maybe Coach K was even a bit thrown off by it. So, I do think, you know how it is, Chris. Obviously, they love Zion as a teammate. But guys are also like, okay, if he's out, this is a chance for me to step up. And to your question, Sarah, I just think they all understand this kid's situation. And heck, R.J. Barrett and Cam Reddish are in the same situation. They all are going to be one and done. I'm sure they want him back, but they understand what the end game is for all of them. So I don't think it'll be a problem. Like Chris said, as long as he's respectful and approaches them first and stays supportive if he decides to sit out. He's there on the bench. He's, at all the games and stuff like that.
And who knows what happens. I mean, we're talking about him getting to the NBA and being the #1 overall pick, but he could